355 small block Chevrolet.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cheapskate Nation. As you guys know, if any of you guys have watched the channel for any length of time, you know I got a small block Chevy swapped S10. You know, I'm on the forums every now and again, and I see that everybody seems to have trouble keeping their small block Chevy swapped S10 or Blazer cool. So here's a little video on keeping it cool and some things to consider. Number one, your ignition timing. Your initial timing at idle should be set anywhere between 6 and 8 degrees or 6 and 12 degrees for like a regular street application. If you got just the drag application, disregard that. The other thing that you want to consider is, are you running rich or lean? You know, if you're running too lean, it's going to run hotter. So you want to verify those two things first and make sure that you're not too lean, or you're not, overly rich, you're going to be blowing black smoke. But you don't want to be too lean, and you want to make sure that your initial timing is correct. Also, and that's considering your vacuum and mechanical advance on your distributor. If you're running fuel injection, you probably are fortunate enough that your fuel injection is going to be controlling your ignition timing, and which that's going to help it. I have a buddy with a V8 Blazer. He's got a Phytech system on it. He's running the stock 4.3 radiator, but that whole system's fuel injected, so it's controlling everything, and he pulls a damn trailer with this Blazer. I mean, he's got a car trailer that he'll haul with it. No problem. Not loaded, of course, but yeah, he doesn't even care. The truck doesn't even care. It runs at 210. No matter what, or colder. So fuel injection's nice. If you have fuel injection, this video might not be for you, but this is for the old school way of you're setting your own timing, you're setting your own jetting, and it's still running too hot. So verify those first two things, that you got the right jetting in it, and that you got the right initial timing into it. All in, you want 34 to 36 degrees at about 3,000 RPM, but you don't have, so another way to check that is rev the engine up and check your timing light and see if it's actually at 36 degrees when you're at 3,000 RPM. I've done that before. I've had my daughter help me. I said, hey, just when that little blue light, I adjusted my tachometer for the blue light to come on at 3,000 RPM, and sat there and adjusted the timing. I probably need to go back and do it again. But the reason that sparks this whole video is last week I was at the track and I was hot lapping the truck. I ran a new personal best of 12:15 at 109 miles an hour. I'll show you some time slips here in a minute. But after hot lapping, after the third pass, the truck started to get pretty hot. It was up around 230, if I remember correctly. And so I pulled it into the pits and just shut it off for a half hour. I let the cooling fans run. Now my application is, I had pusher fans that are 12-inch pusher fans. They're 80 watt 12-inch pusher fans. I had two of them, and it was just, it would cool off what's in the radiator but not what's in the block. So I'd watch my manual temp gauge just climb up to 250, 260. So I let it sit there, let the cooling fans run for 5-10 minutes, or about 5 minutes, and then I'd fire up the truck and let all the water cycle through it, and shut it back off, let the cooling fans run longer, and help to bring the temperature back down to about 180, and then go back up there and make another pass. I didn't have a super serious issue. The truck has actually been fine on the streets for the most part, and I do the manual cooling switches, or I turn my cooling fans on manually just because of my application. Now, if you want your application, you can have a thermostat in there. You can wire in a relay. You can do, and that way it'll be automatic. And you know, the key on, it reads the temperature and it says, oh, we're too hot. It'll kick the fans on automatically, and that's great. You can do that if you're doing a street application. I recommend doing that. But me, drag racing, primarily a drag race truck, not really a street truck. It's just, the RPM, this truck in particular is way too much to drive on the street regularly. Once in a while I'll get it out there, but no, here's my problem, or here's my resolution to solve this issue of just getting way too hot at the track when I'm hot lapping it. So follow along, grab your popcorn, grab your beer, and let's get into it.
If you're like me and you got yourself a small block Chevy swapped S10 or Blazer, and you got some cooling issues, this video is going to cover everything you need to know. Now, we all know that if you're running carbureted and you have to set the timing yourself, those are two different things that can really affect your cooling issues. However, if you're running a fuel injection system, particularly one that controls your timing, you can get away with a lot less headache than what this can be. So grab your popcorn, grab your beer, and follow along. We're going to get started right here. So here's the setup on my S10. I got a distributor with, I'm not running any vacuum advanced. I got a 750 Summit carburetor, mechanical secondaries, but I do have this nice aluminum radiator from Black Horse Racing. I think it was about 140 bucks on there, on Amazon. However, though, you don't have to have an aluminum radiator. You can use the factory 4.3 radiator if you have that. It'll work just fine. My big issue is this. I'm running these 12 volt 80 watt fans as pusher fans. And they were doing the job for the most part, daily driving it up and down the roads and everything else. But just last week I went to the track, ran a new personal best, but I was hot lapping the truck, just making pass after pass after pass, trying to figure out, learn how to drive the truck at the track. By the third pass, she was screaming at about 230, and that's a little hot. So I had to shut it down and waited for a while, and then it was so hot that it had a hard time restarting. And I did adjust the timing after that, which is not important in this video, but I want to keep it cooler so I can cool it down faster in between passes and whatnot. So as you can see here, here's my two cooling fans. They are 12 volt 80 watt fans. I have these set up and configured as pusher fans right now. Right now they're out of the truck. This is my aluminum radiator. I got that off of Amazon from Black Horse Racing. Now, my buddy with his V8 S10 that's fuel injected, he runs a factory 4.3 radiator in it and no issues. So you can do it. It's possible. But here's my solution to fixing this issue. Is I am going to grab, these just came in from Amazon. This is a 16-inch fan. I'm not actually running the 16-inch fan, but look at this motor that's on it. It's a 12 volt, 120 watt motor. So obviously the 16-inch fan is just way too big to fit in there. It's much taller than the radiator actually is. The idea is the 120 watt fan, or the motor that's in it, is going to spin a lot faster than that 80 watt motor. And in doing that, I'm going to be able to pull a lot more air through it. The other thing I'm doing is I'm actually switching it up. I'm doing a couple modifications to the core support there for the radiator to be able to make these puller fans instead of pusher fans. My last application, there was, and I'll see if I got some video of that to throw in here, but there was like a little bit of a gap. It needed some shroud work to help cover it all up, to help it pull in cold air or push through cold air, because they were pusher fans. And but I think this is going to be a lot better. got a little bench top battery here. I got it jumpered. Torquey as all hell. Let's see if I can actually hold this thing. Yep. That's how well that one spins. And I actually got it going the right way the first time. So let's hook this up to the 12 volt one, or the 80 watt one. So I got this hooked up. Or it was. Just kidding. Now it's hooked up. It speeds pretty good. Let's hook this one back up. You ready? I'm feeling that blow backwards. It's actually pulling in the air right now and it's pushing it into my belly. That one seems to spin a little bit faster, probably about, if I had to guess, probably about another 600 RPM more. So the idea is that faster spinning blade will pull more air through the radiator. So now that I got my cooling fans all swapped over, the motors on them all swapped over, I'm gonna get them jammed on to the radiator, get that all installed in the truck, and then fire it up. Let the truck hit at about 200, 220 degrees, and kick on the cooling fans and see what happens. So, be back in a minute. Well, it's the next day. I spent all day yesterday evening getting the truck put back together. And you might wonder why I'm out here in the damn greenhouse. Well, that's because I'm out here finding a watering can, because I ain't got a hose spigot close enough to the shop to fill it up. So we're gonna go get some water, fill up the truck with. And there ain't nothing better than purified creek water, or drainage ditch water, with mosquito larvae and everything. This looks pretty clear. Not so much anymore. Yeah, one of these, plus the coolant jug that I got of straight coolant, ought to be enough to fill it up. We're back in the garage here. I got down here my full strength coolant right here, but let me show you something here. Let me just show you one thing real quick. You know, shit. This is the coolant that I pulled out of it. We learned two things. One, rusty coolant water attracts mosquitoes. That's number one. And number two, I was sporting Rusty's, Lightning McQueen's number, with the rusty water. Okay, so here's proof that it was rusty water in there. Let me grab a rag, wipe that out, because it don't need to be in there. Look at this sexy setup here. I welded in a little piece of 1/2-inch tubing here. Gave my core support all the strength it needed. You don't have to do that. If you can make your radiator fit down there, it's all good. But I got these little mounting tabs. I actually got it so far up here because I wanted plenty of room down there in between the fans and the belt that I put in this foam. Now, this foam right here, I was lied to. The packaging on it said it expands to 1 inch. Well, it's not right now. It's like 3/8 of an inch. So don't buy that one if it says that. Just get the stuff that says it's a 1/2 inch on it and double it up to be at 1 inch. But I'll show you what I did real quick. If you want part numbers for radiator hoses, there you go. You know what that part number is? That's a Master Pro part number for a factory 4.3 Chevrolet S10. Let's see, the one down there that I got is a 71723 lower radiator hose. And that radiator hose, I actually cut it down a little bit to modify it. It's just basically a 90-degree elbow with a little kink in it. So I cut it down to fit because, you think about it, the motor is actually sitting closer to the radiator now that it's a V8. It's got 2 extra cylinders in it. This used to be a 4.3 truck. It's now a 350 truck. 355 small block Chevrolet. And I'm gonna toot my own horn right now. I'm proud of myself. I put this together. I had, words of wisdom from a few friends. And my buddy kind of spec'd out the motor. Actually, didn't he did. Steve, you know who you are. He helped me purchase all the parts. I built it, but he helped me find and locate and research all the parts to it. And if you guys are curious about the build on the motor, that's in past videos on the channel. Feel free to scroll back and look at them. This truck is so much fucking fun to drive. And I just want to keep on modifying it and making it better and better and better. Eventually, I will get to the end all. This is a street strip truck and this is how much it cost. And I know this one particular, I've kind of leaned more towards the strip because I just wanted to go drag racing with it. Can I get in it and drive it down the road? Yeah, I just got to swap out the slicks for the street tires and get out there and go. It's a 3-speed transmission. If you're building one of these S10s just for the strip, go with a 3-speed or a 2-speed Power Glide. That's totally fine. But if you're building this for the street, go with the 4-speed automatic or a 5-speed manual transmission. Okay, I'm telling you, because you want to shit and get, and shitting and getting requires 410 gearing. If you're going to have 410 gearing, you got to have like 28-inch tall tires, and you're still going to be cruising on a 3-speed like I do. I'm cruising at like 3,200 RPM at 60, so you're just guzzling gas at that point for a street truck. So definitely go with an automatic transmission, get that overdrive in it. Or if you want to go with a 3-speed, then go with like maybe 352s and some 27, 28-inch tall rear tires on it. That'd work too. But let's get back to getting this thing fired up. Let's bring it up to about 200 degrees. Let's kick on the cooling fans and see how much it sucks the temperature down. So let me jam on this thing and get all the fluids in and get going. So after I get this thing topped off, I'm going to have to burp the system and everything else just because this one radiator hose is higher than everything else. Hate that it is that way, but if you know a better hose part number for an upper radiator hose, drop that down in the comments. I try to get to everybody's comments. I want to make sure everybody's got an enjoyable V8 S10. These things are a riot to drive on the street. And if you're considering doing one of those takeover things or a burnout competition, just put a V8. You could put a 305, a light build on a 305 and a V8 S10 for probably $3,500 and go to a burnout competition and probably win it because there's no weight in the bed. There's none. You just light them up. Man, I get out on the street with this thing in the rain. It's actually pretty scary. But in the dry, it's a lot of fun. It's a blast. It's loud. It's obnoxious. Speaking of loud, when we actually go to do the test and you guys are focused in on the thermostat, on my temperature gauge in the dash, we're going to be yelling into the camera because this thing's straight piped at the moment because I plan on taking it to the track tomorrow and I want to get it to the track tomorrow. So it is what it is. So the other thing that I wanted to show you guys real quick that I might have to adjust and figure out is the cooling fan situation. Now I got this mounted in here with these springs that the hardware kit came with the fans. And these springs I can push in. You look through on the other side. Here's this little securing tab I pull that tight, but when I pull that tight, it just slips on the clip right there. So I might have to upgrade, get some American-made ones, not the Chinese knockoffs. I'm assuming these are Chinese knockoffs at least. But we're going to see what happens. And is what I'm expecting is I'm expecting when this thing hits 200 degrees, I'm expecting to be able to flip on the fans and watch that temp gauge go from 200 down to 180. If it goes to like 170, 175, that's even better yet. But I want to be able to suck it back down to 180. And that way, so me drag racing, as I'm tuning this thing, I'm making all my passes with the engine on the starting line at 180 degrees. And if it goes up to 220 by the end of the run, that's fine. But if it comes back down by the time I make the next run, that's fine with me. That's all I'm going for. I know a lot of you guys have had issues with your small blocks and your S10s, cooling and whatnot. And I'm telling you right now, if you're fuel ejected right now and the fuel injection controls your timing and everything else, you're going to be able to take it, put it on a stock 4.3 radiator, and keep it cool. I got a buddy that tows a trailer with a Blazer. He does it, you can too. Starting to drop. On 30 seconds. About 50 seconds. My wife's fixing to tell me I reek of gasoline exhaust. So there we have it. Having a couple sucker fans that are 120 watts. Use some 10 gauge wiring. Use a 30 or 40 amp relay. I chose to switch the ground. If you're running a thermostat, there's different ways to set it and different ways to do that. I'm not going to get on all that because I don't have it and I haven't actually done it yet. But sucker fans, 120 watts, they cool the shit out of this truck. I think tomorrow, if I'm lucky enough to go to the track, I'm not going to have the same issue that I had last time. And actually today, it was, after it got hot, it was still idling really good. So I'm really happy. And with that, I'm going to close out this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really appreciate every single one of you that like and subscribe to this channel. And we're going to grow from here. I want to do some more stuff. I want to get that Camaro back there in the garage. I want to do an LS because I want to learn fuel injection. I want to learn all that LS bullshit that goes along with it. So, just, you know what, go out in your garage and have fun. See you guys later. Nothing like cold creek water on a hot day. Woo!